Hey guys, doing a few videos tonight. I'm hoping to do this one short. Many of you know, when I teach in my Esoterics what I've learned, when I share what I've learned, rather than teaching, let's say I share what I've learned. I have a reason behind that, but what I think is often skipped over and missed by persons is, let's look at it this way. I share what I've learned because it worked for me to do what I've done here. And I want the children here who I can't get to have that as well, and I presume there are children all over the world that I can have empathy and envision because of where I am, who are suffering the same way. Now, simply, esoterics is not about, if you're a Christian, as my example, and you worship the Son of God, Jesus, esoterics does not need to take that away from you. Esoterics can make you better at worshipping the Son of God, Jesus. If you're a Muslim and you wish to worship Allah, esoterics can make you better at worshipping Allah. Because what they can do, they can pull you in to be more disciplined into yourself, just as Buddhism can. It can be a practice, conquering your 7 energy centers, wandering in the wilderness until you find dominion over the 7 energy centers, or Moses' example, as it is in the allegorical language of the Bible, wanders in the wilderness until he finds the 7 sisters. Or you can be King Nebuchadnezzar, who had to wander in the wilderness for 7 years until he heard God's voice, because he had to overcome in the crazy and wilderness of the mind and meditation the 7 energy centers of his body before he would commune with God. Just as Noah's Ark has to smash around on the stormy waters of life and we know the rest of the story. Now, modern day persons knew what I knew. Look at Snow White. She has to wander in the wilderness until she finds the 7 dwarfs. Snow White is a deeply spiritual text. It has a lot of alchemy in it with the colours as well, but I'll do a video about that another day. Now, if you learn the practice of going within and overcoming your 7 energy centres, all it does is make you a more centred and present human being, which will allow you to read more scripture, if that's what you want to do, to worship more, if that's what you want to do, to serve others better, if that's what you want to do, to be more like Christ, which is what everybody should be aspiring to do. Or to be more like other deities and saints of the planet, which everyone adorns and wonders how they manage to achieve that. You see, the Pope could practice Buddhism. Doesn't mean he's Buddhist. Buddhism is not supposed to be a religion unto itself, but Buddha was never asking anyone to worship a statue of a fat Buddha. This is what's the word? It's not allegorical. This statue is not a literal statue. It has, according to it, the fat belly of Buddha is to encode deep breathing, for example. So the symbol of the Buddha that you see isn't a literal person. And no one was ever expected to kneel before that and to pray to it. Buddhism was always meant to be a practice. Now, parts of esoterics are meant to be a practice for you to commune with God, just as Buddhism is a practice for you to commune with God. So, a Roman Catholic priest could still be a Roman Catholic priest and believe all he believes and practice Buddhism. Would not make him a Buddhist, he's just practicing something to make him a better Roman Catholic priest. And esoterics is no different to that. You can practice esoterics to find union within yourself and your present mindedness, to be the most effective servant to God you can be in whatever way that is. Be it serving others, as I do, be it reading scripture, be it creating something which is going to save lives, be it making a successful business that you can use your blessings and your wealth to help others. I saw a guy who created an energy drink shot and made billions and has opened an institute somewhere in America to create free energy sources and stuff like this. Wonderful, wonderful thing. But his thing was nothing to do with the typical service, but in the end it has been an ultimate service to humanity. Now, all of these things are often aloof to people because they are saying they are Christian and they are doing a job they don't want to do. They don't feel they're living their life purpose. And by practicing meditation, which is an esoteric teaching, which I show was encoded within the scripture of the Bible, is, I've shown, encoded in the scripture of the Quran, is coded in the scriptures of the Dharma, is so on and so forth, then all it allows you to do is to find that. Is to find the union that you need within your own body and with reality and with God to be able to do the thing which fulfills you more, or to be able to do that which you are doing at the best possible level. If your path is to be a pastor, then be the best pastor you can be a disciplined pastor. And Buddhism can make a pastor a better follower of Christ than just reading the Bible could make them, because they would be a more disciplined person. They wouldn't lean towards sexual immorality or alcohol and so on and so forth. They would find the middle way. It doesn't make them a Buddhist, it just means they've used a practice, if you took the label Buddhism away, that allows you to have control over your five senses, which is what is lacking in literal religions, which is where I try to show it was never meant to be lacking. The Christian faith was never meant to be completely lacking any form of way to discipline yourself. Fasting was supposed to be present, we know this one. But meditation and conquering the seven energy centers was meant to be present because it's present throughout the Bible in a mythological, esoteric language. People were never meant to be left straying around wondering how it is that they're supposed to do it. So esoterics is like a form of Buddhism that you can attach to, just the same as you can be a literal follower of Christ and worship the Son of God and use Buddhism as a practice to be a better follower of Christ. So it is that you can follow Christ and use esoteric fragments or parts of esoterics to meditate and to be the best possible you can be, and then that allows you to serve God in your way, in the best way you can. There's no thing about it that's wrong. It's not like you can say that this Eastern philosophy of Buddhism is terrible. A pastor and a preacher can be a pastor and a preacher of Jesus Christ and practice Buddhism, same as they can practice the meditation that dominates and overcomes the five senses and finds union with the seven energy centers that is practiced in the Hindu faith. There's no problem with that whatsoever. It would be a beautiful thing to say, wouldn't it be great if all persons from the Hindu faith could teach their practices to Christians, and all Christians could teach their ideals to Hindus, and they find some sort of conglomerate together? But I wouldn't want to do that, because I wouldn't want to take one away from the other. Both are beautiful, stunning esoteric texts, but both are similar in the language that they are written in. One teaches practical means on how to find union in the body, the Hindu texts, and one encodes it but doesn't teach it anymore, the Christian texts. But if you took the teachings from there and gave it to a pastor over here, he can remain a pastor, just he'll be a better pastor because he won't let his congregation down by messing about with the girls in the congregation or by getting drunk or whatever it is that might happen when you don't have some form of discipline. And I'm not just picking on Christian pastors here, I mean this across the board. Same with someone in the Muslim faith can be a better Muslim if they practice Buddhism, can be a better Muslim if they practice aspects of the esoteric religions which allow them to be a more disciplined human being. So, and I'll end that there. Much love, please. Bye.